What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Weird Perspective Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. Yeah, we back with another episode. We got a good one for y'all today, man. We got a good one. Eddie, are you ready to dive into this thing?
I am ready, bro. I am ready.
All right, man. On this show, man, we like to have fun. We like to talk about sports, politics, entertainment, the world news, sad news, all type of news, man. We touch on it all, but most importantly, we like to talk about the Bible, and we like to bring you guys a weird perspective, right? We like to bring you guys a biblical perspective to whatever it is we're talking about. Probably not too much for sports. I don't know too much biblical perspective and verses that we can give you on the sports, but we do like to talk about our basketball, football. We like to get into those things. And so thank you guys again for joining us, and I hope you guys are entertained but also informed about the things that we're gonna talk about. So
definitely
we're gonna dive right into this thing, man. Today's episode is gonna be about, is America a Christian nation? Is America a Christian nation? This is gonna ruffle some feathers, right? Especially to my good old Christian, right? Good old evangelicals that love this country, that been standing on this and been preaching from the pulpit about, is America a Christian nation? And they always been is yelling that from the pulpit at the top of their lungs. And so we're gonna really get it.
Not to cut you off, but it's almost like you can have a dialogue about it, and then I think depending on who you're talking to, it almost sounds like you're talking about like a sports segment. Like, is Jordan the greatest of all time? You get your grandpa to say, ain't nobody like Jordan, but Kareem was the best. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure that depending on who you're talking to, they're probably gonna say, man, you know what? Back in our day, there was nothing like this. So
yeah. Well, I'm gonna bring up some historical facts.
Definitely.
To the people that's listening. So I'm not just gonna be coming off the cuff pulling information out my butt. I'm gonna be bringing you guys some historic evidence. So y'all tune in for that. But before we dive into the main topic, we want to touch on a little bit of things. But man, I've been going through it with these laptops, bro. I am sick of these laptops, man. So I did a factory reboot on this MacBook Air that I use to edit the videos. It was just outdated and it needed to be updated. So I did a factory reset. I updated the newest software on it. And ever since I did that, it lasted good for like a week. And then after that, this thing been moving slow. So for those of you guys who are listening to this and you just got the episode from last week, it's because I had to upload them back to back. So I've been, when I do the effects and I add little things here and there, instead of it instantly going into there, it's taking like 30 seconds, a minute to load and pop up on there. So it's just prolonging.
You know why, right?
This.
You know why, right?
Well, this computer is outdated. So this is a 2013 model. But like I said,
you gotta go up there to Daddy Mac, the Mac store.
And then my laptop from work, which is a brand new MacBook, it got the M1 chip in there, which is phenomenal. He refuses to wipe it clean so that it could be mine. It still got the dude's personal information. His text messages are still coming on there because he had his iPhone linked to it. So I'm like, yo, can you just wipe this clean so I can start using it, bro? And he's just taking forever. So I'm dealing with that. So sorry, guys, for the delay. You guys getting back-to-back episodes. You're probably like, man, why did they upload 2 episodes? That's why, because it took me 5 days to edit one video on top of the other videos. For those of you
who don't know Darry is a little bit of a tech geek. You didn't know that.
To a certain degree. Yeah. I've grown into it. But yeah, man. So that's why y'all didn't get an episode on time, but you did get one you listening to this, it should be up. But as y'all guys know, we're gonna touch on a little bit of the finals. Golden State Warriors thought they were gonna win game 1, and they got spizanked.
They got spanked, man, but they were in control of that game the whole time. So, I mean, there's some good signs. I think if they controlled their turnovers and they just close out that game, they would have had that one in the bag. But they learned, the Boston is there for a reason, man. Their defense is worth, is worth everything that it got them there. So,
Well, right now at the time that we are recording this, they just blew the Mogs out. I think it was. I'll tell you guys the score right now because I should know this, but I didn't watch the last 5 minutes of the game because it was over. They pulled out all the starters. It was all the bench guys was in there. I think Steph Curry only played 5 minutes of the fourth. It was a blowout. So it was 88-107 Golden State.
There you go.
They came in, did what they needed to do, and
all of the night.
That's it. They said peace.
Yeah, I just need Steph to win the Finals MVP. That's all. Because I was shocked to hear that he has no Finals MVP. Somebody needs to get smacked.
Well, yeah. Speaking of Steph, where's Steph Curry on the all-time list, right? So I think people kind of got him right now. But if he wins this Finals, which I believe that they're gonna win the Finals.
Yeah.
He's going to have 4 championships. So he's now going to be tied with LeBron.
All right.
He has no Finals MVPs.
For all you LeBron fans
I think he does deserve at least one of those.
Yeah.
But they gave it to Iguodala, and then KD got 2 of those. So I think he deserves at least one of those. I don't have the stats from those games in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that he, did his thing. So where he gonna end on the all-time list? What do you think when it's all said and done?
Well, it depends. I think they're running like a new era, then another dynasty. So their dynasty is kind of like transitioning from their little core of players, but now they have the young bloods in there like Jordan Poole, Kuminga, and all these other guys. So it's kind of cool to see how they have their old core players that have won the first 3 championships.
Yeah.
But now they're incorporating all this young talent in there. I think they should at least sneak out another 1 or 2 championships tops once it's all said and done. But I was looking at the 2018 stats for Steph, right? Because I saw that KD won I forgot all about that. But KD did win that Finals MVP, and KD averaged 28, and Steph averaged 27. So he's always in the running for that MVP. He should have at least one at this point. But if they don't give it to him this year, I don't know, man. It's wild. I guess the other thing too is, how would you break up an all-time listing, right, for Steph Curry? I saw that he's 51 on the scoring list, which is cool, right? He's breaking the top 50 as far as scorers. But before it's all said and done, I'm sure he has to be in that top.
But that's on points. Like, I don't really consider that.
Yeah.
I put Steph Curry right now. We're talking about just scoring. I gotta put him in the top 10 scoring, bro.
Definitely.
He's almost unguardable.
Yeah.
Almost. He can shoot from anywhere. And if you can shoot, I mean, that's the point. That's the whole purpose of the game, is to put the ball in the hoop.
Yeah.
And he doing it from 40 feet out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
consistent.
He's almost unguardable. You got to pick him up the whole court, literally. You don't know what he gonna pull up from. So, and he can get the shot off the dribble. I mean, he don't need the ball.
So do you have him? What's your all-time? You think he fits in the top 10 all time, just overall, or just scoring wise?
Well, my top 10 all time, it's overall player.
Okay.
So my list is a little bit different, but I would put him in my top 20.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. That 20 range Top 20, definitely.
But when the final's over, maybe we'll have that. We'll do
we'll have that talk.
Our list. Yeah, we'll share it with the people on here. And we can we'll talk about our top list. I usually do one every year. Like I put it on Facebook. A few people chime in, but I got different lists for different reasons. Like I got my favorite players, just my personal favorite players. I got my all-time list of my top 5 greatest. And then we get them to categories and stuff like that. But we'll talk about it when the finals are over.
Definitely.
All right. So look, man. Memorial Day weekend here in Chicago. It was beautiful outside, by the way. It was amazing. See,
it was like we snuck in some good weather, and then we're like, think again.
Well, that's what happens. That's the cost that you pay here in Chicago. You have amazing weather and you have amazing violence that happens all at the same time. Because it's like everybody was like, it was cold, so we went into hiding. We wasn't out. But now that it's hot, everybody and their mom outside. And it was like the dude that I got into it with over the winter, I'm at you now because it's hot. I get to see you out here. And so we already know, like every weekend, the mayor, the police commissioner, I'm so sick of seeing these two on TV saying the exact same thing every time there's a shooting or every time there's people getting arrested for some type of violence. They captured this many guns. They literally say the exact same thing every time. So I'm just done with both of them. I'm done with both of them. Yeah. But anyway, 13 people were arrested. 11 guns recovered during a party at North Avenue Beach Memorial Day weekend here in Chicago. Crazy. So I found it really interesting, right? I'm done talking about the guns and what we should do with guns. You want to hear my take on guns? Listen to the last episode. I talk about it, how I feel about guns, semi-automatic, revolvers. We talked about guns, the stats, everything is on the last episode. So if you want to check that out, go watch the last episode. This one is interesting for me because people always in Chicago, no matter where you go, a lot of people got guns illegally. Got guns. It's been that way since I was a kid. But the thing is, it's interesting though. Like gangbangers, right? They only target gangbangers. Nobody is just like, I'm gonna go to the beach and I'm gonna just shoot up everybody. And I hate to make this like a race thing, right? But black people ain't running in schools shooting folks. We ain't running in the churches. We ain't running in the supermarkets. We ain't running into the beach. When we go to the beach, we let it have a good time. We just got the peace on us just in case some kick off. Yeah. That's how most people that I know that live that type of lifestyle, that's how they are. They just like, man, I'm out here kicking it, but if some kick off, I got it on me, right? Yeah. So whatever happened with these, 13 people and 11 guns, pretty sure they were probably all, they probably were all gang plugged in, and they just had guns, and some kicked off, an argument, altercation happened, and they quick to arrest you down there. They got a lot of police that was down there. We was actually at the beach more north over the weekend as well. So the lakefront was beautiful. There was a lot of people out there. It was one weird dude out there causing trouble, man, talking about let's go Brandon flag. And I just found out what that meant.
What does that mean?
So it's pretty much like I'm a pro Trumper, but they said let's go Brandon instead of like let's go Trump. But we could talk about it. It's weird, man. I was like, what's this flag? Who's Brandon? He running for office? What is he? But then the lady that was talking to my wife started to break it down to me, and I was like, oh, so he out here causing trouble. But people at the beach chilling. This dude pulls up, bro, rollerblades with a flag, the police thing, bandana around his face. Bro, everybody out here chilling. Ain't nobody protesting nothing. This ain't no rally. Why are you here? Why? He's there to cause trouble. So I was just looking at him, just like, make sure he ain't got no gun. He's gonna try to shoot up some people. But anyway, he skated off, and then that was it. Right there on the beach. Like, dude, ain't nobody here for that. But anyway, back to the.
You got so many other things to do, man. Like, you must have nothing to do.
Like, clearly he's not married. He ain't got no kids.
He ain't got nothing.
He probably living in, grandma's basement or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
But back to these 13 people that got arrested. So it just makes me think like that. We only really hear about these things, right? The gang members happen, like, so people know who listen to this. I live in the hood.
Yeah.
Not everybody in the hood is committing crimes. It's a small percentage of people, small percentage of knuckleheads that do the crime, right? Most of these people are actually law-abiding citizens. They go to work every day and they just trying to make ends meet and do what they got to do. But it's the small few that causes all the uproar and they get all the attention when you talk about crime. So it just, like, nobody got shot. They just arrested 13 people that had guns, but nobody got killed. At least at the beach, nobody got killed, which I just found that was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, I guess, like you said, it, like, the weather is like a thing in Chicago. I know there's other cities that have high, gun violence and crime, but it's something about the weather, man. It just brings out. It's like people been waiting to, like, commit crimes. It's weird, so weird. It's like, well, it's gonna be 85 on Saturday. I don't think we're going to downtown because you got to worry about, these days. It's just so much going on, man. Like, it's just been increasingly. Like, I looked at the like, over the last 3 months, it's ridiculous. We've had like over 5 mass shootings, over 10
in downtown.
No, not only in downtown, but in the city itself. Just based off, I know it's higher than that, but it's just like thinking about the immediate areas, like downtown, the common areas, right, where you would want to enjoy yourself or go out for some entertainment. You think of these areas like being safe, obviously, because people are going there for specific reasons, but it's like, nah, the violence is just going wherever these days.
Yeah, it's just happening. Let me ask you this question: do you feel, would a gun make you feel safer, and why?
That's a good question, because I had a similar question for you, right? Because I hear a lot of the conversations, right, and people are like, "Oh, the gun laws," and whenever we're around our group of friends or just people we know commonly, right, we talking to one another like, "Man, you ain't got your 40 yet? Man, you need to hurry up and get that." But realistically, right, I'm thinking about it like, isn't that counterproductive in a sense? I mean, I might obviously use my weapon only in a time of need, obviously, or in time of danger. But isn't the conversation like, what did you just ask me?
Do you feel safer? Would having a gun make you feel safer?
I guess in a sense, right? I would be lying if I said no, right? Because you have some immediate type of weapon that you can draw to I guess create a safer experience for you, right? Or protect yourself.
I feel different.
Right.
I don't feel like that. I don't feel like a gun would make me feel safer. Like,
that was my point. That was my point. Right, in conversation, when we're around our group of friends or whatever the case may be, they ask you like, "Man, you ain't got your 40 yet. You ain't got your concealed carry." It's like, how is that gonna change?
Well, here's my perspective: is that I don't have a gun wouldn't make me feel safe,
right?
It'll just allow me to be able to protect my family if somebody was to run in my household, right, in my home. In the street, though, I'm in the street every day. Like, I'm literally in the hood. I work in the hood. I live in the hood. When I walk around outside, I'm not thinking like, "Man, I need to have me a gun because I'm scared I'm gonna die."
Right.
The most time that I ever feared like I was gonna die was in high school.
Yeah.
That was actually a time where I did illegally carry a gun on me because I felt like there were people that I was into it with. I was, for the most part, by myself a lot. And I was a small dude. And so I was like, I'm never getting jumped on again. You know, I was coming off of having my jaw broken, wired shut 6 weeks, and I was like, I'm not going again. And then the people that I was into it with, they were like plugged in official gang members. I wasn't. And so I had a gun on me sometimes because I felt like I needed it, you know? But as an adult, walking around on the street, dude, I don't think about that stuff. I don't think like, man, somebody's gonna run up on me. I'm gonna get shot, because I'm not out here doing those type of things. So I don't feel like I need a gun. Like, we'll have one, but it'll be in the crib. Like when I'm at work or when I'm walking around, like I walk to the store. There's dudes that hang out right in front of the store that I go to. I say what's up to them dudes all the time. Them dudes ain't out there with, guns flashing. A couple of them might have guns on them, right? But I don't feel like, I need to have me a gun. We do evangelism. One of the very first times that we did evangelism, it was a dude that had a gun on. I could see the print of the gun. And people get nervous by that. So that's why when we do evangelism, I warn people, like, hey, you're going to run into people that have guns on them. They're going to be smoking blunts. They're going to have drugs on them. But they need Jesus too, right?
They're going to be slanging in front of you as you evangelize. I remember that.
Hold on, man. You could pray for me, but hold on. Let me serve this dude real quick.
Literally. Like mid-prayer. Like just hold on 1 second.
And so I never felt that I like a gun, that mindset, never like, I'm gonna be safe. I got a gun. Because you never, one thing you never know, right? You don't know when you're gonna have to use your gun. So for me, it's like when I'm in my crib, if most burglars, like it happens at nighttime or when they think like that you're not home. But if you are home, right, somebody runs in there, I at least want to be able to draw my weapon to get them up out of there. Because most people, when they run up in your home, they got something on them. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I just want to be able to combat that. Other than that, I don't feel like, man, like I'm out with my family. We was at the beach. Like I'm not nervous. I'm not like, man, scared. And I'm not trying to say that like in a boastful way, like I'm the toughest dude out here, because I'm not. I'm just saying that I don't fear like that anything is ever going to happen to me. I'm not out here looking for that type of energy. I'm not putting that type of energy out there. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Christ. Like I'm all for peace. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to de-escalate situations, but I'm never like, man, let me have my gun on me, because you never know. Like I don't think like that. And so when I'm out and I'm walking around, walking to the store, conversating with somebody, I never think about like, man, I should have me a gun on me right now. I just don't think about that stuff. So for me, it's like, man, a gun wouldn't make me feel safer. You know what I'm saying?
And I agree with that perspective, actually. The way you put it. Like, I think the main reason why, obviously, us, right, having big families and wanting to protect our homes, I think is the right perspective. And obviously carrying it out. Unless, right, thinking like I'm going out with my family, maybe to a certain, maybe a larger event, right, where I'm thinking to myself, like one of these like huge carnival events where there's going to be hundreds or thousands of people, perhaps, right? But otherwise, I'm not thinking on a daily basis.
That's why I think it's number one, like it's hard to prevent like what happened at the grocery store in Buffalo. Right? Dude walking up in the store and just instantly start shooting. The only way you prevent that you can't prevent it from happening, but the only way you deal with that when it happens is by having armed security, like at all the stores. The dude,
right?
The other shooting that happened at the most recent one happened at the hospital, right? This dude just seen his doctor, he goes back and shoots the doctor. Like, I'm at work, bro. I'm helping people. I'm gotta worry about some dude running in here with a gun. Like, what kind of stuff is that? So the only way you can deal with that stuff is we'll have armed security, right? Armed security at schools. It's because you never know. And we live in a fallen world where people are sick in the head, right? Where people need Jesus. And I mean, that's really only thing you could do. I always refer back to Cain and Abel, because I'm like, yo, it wasn't mass shootings or mass killings going on at that time, and this dude killed his brother, and wars happened.
It definitely starts somewhere else.
So it starts with how you raising your kids, right? The two big shootings, that both of them kids were 18, bro. They were 18 years old. Like, who thinks of an 18-year-old kid? But The shooting that happened a couple years ago here in Chicago, the 13-year-old kid when the police shot him.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, those were active gang members that they called the police on because they were shooting.
Right.
So when the police comes over there, they're already 10. Like, these dudes got guns.
Yeah.
Let me have my gun out because they clearly, active. They shooting at folks. So
and by law, they're considered minors. What are they doing out in the street?
Listen, man,
middle of the night.
You know this story, and I share it all the time.
Yeah.
We were coming from school, and we were by my sister's crib, where she lived in the high gang area, like Logan Square back in the day. We were walking to the McDonald's. It's me and 4 other guys from school, high school. The little 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid pulls up on us on the bike, bro. And what y'all be about? No bass, no nothing in his voice. Small little thing,
man,
but had the biggest gun on him. And you can see it in his hoodie. And he's like, what y'all be about? Dip this and say this and that. We like, man, we finna walk into the McDonald's. But he's like 9 to 10 years old. And people, then they're kids and they're babies. You got to make a judgment call. Like, man, these kids will kill you in a second.
Yeah.
Obviously he's been indoctrinated. Some dudes over there sent him over there to check us.
Right.
And he got a big old dumb gun. Where he get that gun from? And obviously he doesn't fear us, even though we're
obviously
bigger than
he ain't got no parents around.
Right. And I'm trying to tell people that people are like, oh, he's 13 or he's 16 and this and that. He's a kid. He's a minor. Police and do this. But bro, you go to Iraq, some of them kids over there got big old M16, M17s, whatever you want to call it. They walking around, gun bigger than them. Yeah. They'll blow you away with that gun. So just because a kid is 9 or 10 years old, 13, whatever, that don't mean that they cannot commit no crime.
Yeah.
That won't mean that they can't kill you. They can. And if they've been around dudes that's planting those seeds of murder, gangbang, that's what we do, and they implanting that in them, like, that's what's gonna happen. I mean, we know people personally, bro, that grew up in that lifestyle and was in jail from 12, 13, 14. They was in jail all the time because they were literally an active gang member. They were literally the shooter in those gangs. Like, and so I think that people, they get triggered and they say all these things, but going back to the original thing, but like, the question that I asked you, guns don't make me owning a gun. It doesn't make me feel any safer.
I agree.
Right?
It's a lot of responsibility, man. That's
a lot of responsibility. And a lot of people that I know that have guns, all of them, they're law-abiding citizens. Number one, and two, they're believers. Yeah. Like, they're responsible adults. They go to work every day. They got families. They take care of their business. They're not out here like, all on Facebook, throwing the guns up. They're responsible adults. Yeah. But I think the stat was 1 or 2% of people who legally own guns. It's only 1 or 2% of those people that commit, violent crimes that they shouldn't have. You know what I'm saying? And so that goes to tell you that 98%, 97% of legal gun owners, they're not out here committing crimes, acting crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's only these young dudes. And then it was another stat that they put out about those mass shootings that's happened and for the teens that are under 21. Yeah. It was a big number. And so she got to go to tell you, man, that there's some things going on, bro, with these kids and how they're being raised and what they're seeing, what they're being exposed to. Yeah. That's causing them to kill babies. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. What drives them to do that, man? That's just
like, I'm gonna go shoot up the kids. Yeah, man. But you know what? I'm about to go buy these 2 guns, and then I'm gonna go shoot up a school. Yeah. What are you seeing that's making you think that? Wow, these kids, you're not even in high school no more. These are elementary school kids. They ain't did nothing to you. Why you going to shoot up elementary school? So it's beyond me, bro. But I mean, from a spiritual perspective, we know that we live in a fallen world, and we know that demons and the devil exist, right? Yeah. And then he comes to kill, steal,
and there obviously should be some type of like, I think you mentioned this, last segment, that there should be some more guidelines in there, because it was just too easy for him to go ahead and purchase that weapon.
Yeah, his birthday had just passed, and for his birthday he bought himself 2 ARs.
and according to some stories, is that he was even talking to some coworkers, like obviously about.
He was telling them that he was gonna buy. I'm saving up to buy some guns.
Yeah, he already had those aspirations, like, and these things could have been prevented if, like, in those cases, like you hear a coworker is a minor, right, or not of age. Maybe he's at that little brink, like, man, you know, what your parents think about that. Maybe if I heard you know, as a manager of a store, so, you know, hear some of your employers talking a little crazy, or maybe talking about things that maybe you shouldn't be talking about at work, pull them in, have a conversation, or, you know, have some accountability. If they're a minor, maybe go ahead and give a call over to, I know we're going to respect them as, you know, employees, but man, is there more we can do, you know, to just have a little bit more preventative,
I think,
strategy in place?
I mean, we can have a whole nother conversation.
A whole nother segment, yeah.
Guns they're just easy to get, bro.
Yeah.
In America, guns are easy to get. I can go buy me a gun. I can make a phone call right now, go buy me whatever guns that I need to buy. Illegally, I could do that.
Yeah.
You know, my wife, she's witnessed people get guns from police officers, right? I know people who were active gang members that used to buy their guns from police officers. Police would take them out of lockup, wherever they had them, sell them to the dudes on the street. And it's corruption, bro.
Yeah.
It's people being corrupt.
That's what I was gonna say, is that it's corrupt all the way around. So
you gotta literally tear down the whole system. But
I guess another side question I wanted to ask was, do you think the way they're assessing these people is fair? And the reason why is because I was talking to a relative, right? And he was telling me that he just finished taking an assessment for a suburban posting, right, to be an officer in the suburbs. And he said that assessment was beyond him. Like, he failed miserably. And we're talking about an individual who currently works in the system as an officer, right? He's just trying to, you know, further his career and get a better opportunity and go out to the suburbs. And also has the background, the experience being an armed security officer. So those two things coupled, you have a perfect candidate that has the hands-on experience, but is failing the mental, I guess the men, they call it, you know, like a mental assessment or a PI assessment. But you think these assessments are a little over the top? Because we're talking about armed forces, right? We're talking about individuals, police officers, or people with authority that are holding weapons, having to make split-second decisions. But we can't get the right guys that already have that experience in there. But we're gonna get somebody that passes the assessment. They may not have the experience, and once they get there, it may not all come together when they're faced with that situation, you know?
Yeah, I think they need to come up with some type of question system and do research on how these kids or how these men were brought up as kids.
Yeah.
And also,
that's a good one.
Stop having dudes that live in the suburbs come and police the city.
Yeah.
Even just,
I think
church,
even
in church culture, there's an automatic divide because people have this negative view of the city. Like when you say you're from Chicago, I told you about my experience in Ohio. Yeah. They thought I was committing drive-bys in Chicago. They were like, you from Chicago, man? How many people you kill? Like, these were literally the things they thought about me. And I was like, what are you talking about, man? How many times you been shot? Like, I ain't never been shot. Like, it was crazy because they seen what was happening on the news and they thought that everywhere in Chicago, it was just shootouts all day, constantly. People was just shooting, going crazy. And I was like, dude, stop watching the news, man. I was like, if you want to experience Chicago, come to Chicago with me. Nah, man, I ain't gonna go to Chicago. This is what one dude said. He said, I ain't going to Chicago, man. He's like, I'm gonna die. I was like, I'm literally from Chicago and I'm standing here talking to you.
Yeah.
I've never been shot before. I've never been robbed at gunpoint. I live in the city. I was like, what are you talking about, dude? I was like, stop watching the news. You know, these things aren't what, you know, as extreme as they make it, right? It's a small percentage of people that's committing the crimes and that's what gets all the attention. But it's not everybody. It's not 50%. It's not 60% of people in Chicago committing crimes. No, it's a small number, you know? And so they thought, man, the influence of mainstream media. That was my first real experience with how
that's a whole nother segment, man. That's a whole nother
how influential and gaslit they can make people. Like from Chicago, man, he crazy, man, he a killer and this and that. And it's like, no, I'm not. What are you talking about? And so to this day, I don't even think dude ever been to Chicago. I invited him a couple times, but yeah, he ain't coming because he's scared. Yeah. So that's insane. But look, man, yeah, we can talk about this stuff all day till we blue in the face. But
it's definitely a hot topic, man.
It's definitely a hot topic, man. And I'm interested to hear people's, perspective. We got the super Second Amendment people. They're like, nah, man, taking our guns, blah, blah, blah. And I want to hear it from, the people, from other people who think different about guns, and they might have it. So it's crazy, but I mean, we'll get into it. But let's dive into the main topic of the night, man. The main topic, and that is America a Christian nation? What do you think about that question, man? Do you think America is a Christian nation? Do you think we ever was a Christian nation? Like, what is your take on it?
Well, I guess in retrospect, right, the original question is America a Christian nation? I guess I would have to judge that by how almost as we would pose that question to a practicing Christian or someone practicing religion, right? We look at their lifestyle, we'll look at their, the example of how they're living, and it's by far a hard no, right, at this current state. And I don't even know if you can answer that in a general sense.
It's a hard no, and it's always been a hard no.
It's always been right. Yeah. I think you can answer that in a general sense. But yeah, definitely. Especially since when you talk about asking that question for an entire nation, then you would have to ask it as if, what are the standards? What is the nation's teachings and values and all these different things? And just as we would someone that is practicing Christianity or religion in itself, we have to look at their teachings and their values, and does that line up with how they're living day to day and how they're implementing these things? So the answer is a no, man. And just like a Christian, if America was a Christian nation, then they would hold to the teachings that Jesus is God, right? The Son of God. And we go down the line, right? Believing in the Trinity and believing that Jesus was God in the flesh, he crucified, was resurrected, and then ascended in heaven. And he came for the forgiveness of our sins as a humanity. So I guess, in a sense, it's a hard no. And I think originally America was, I guess they had the right intent, and it did have some biblical implementation, right? They had an idea of implementing biblical principles to start off the nation. But it just, as you see politics unfold in a general sense, is exactly what happened to the watering down of America being sustained as a Christian nation or holding to Christian principles originally. It just got watered down because a lot of self-interest, a lot of political corruptness, a lot of, if we can just say it plainly, right, in layman's terms, a lot of evil and sin infiltrated the intent of what America's origination was supposed to be. But yeah, in short, I think that's my perspective on if America is a Christian nation.
All right. So I want to break this down, right? I want to deep dive into this. And so, what is a Christian nation, or what makes a nation Christian, right? I think first, in order to determine like what a Christian nation is, we need to define what it means to be a Christian. Mm-hmm. And so The biblical definition of a Christian is one committed to Christ or a follower of Christ, right? You see that word Christian used. It shows up about 3 times in the New Testament. It's in Acts 11. It's in Acts 26. They were called Christians at Antioch. So breaking down like what does it mean to be a Christian? What is a Christian, right? And it's they were called Christians because of their behavior, their activity, their speech were Christ-like, right? And so they were called Christians. And so that's what the biblical definition of being a Christian is. It's somebody who is committed to living a Christ-like life, right? Being a follower of Jesus. Now, let's define what a nation is. And this is the Oxford definition of it. A nation is a large body of people united by common descent, history, culture, or language, inhabiting a particular country or territory. So we see like a nation is a group of people who are united, the same purpose, ideology, agenda, whatever, right? They're governed by certain laws and rules. And so with those key words being defined, we can now have a clear understanding of what a Christian nation is. So to say it plainly, a Christian nation is a group of people, government included, who live life as Christ would have. Right? Yep. When you say that, their belief system and laws will come straight from the Bible. Right. And you would not be welcome into that if you didn't convert to that belief system, to those laws, and to those commands. Would you agree to that? Right. And so very similar, right? We see this like in the church. Mm-hmm. Right? It's very similar to like church membership. Being part of a church, a body of believers, right? The local church is supposed to be governed by the Bible, right? And then, like for example, we talked about this is one we bring up, and you know this one. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 5. What was going on in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, right? The dude was living in open sin, sleeping with his father's wife, right? His stepmom. He was sleeping with her. And so, what does Paul say to do in verse number 2? He says, "You are arrogant. Shouldn't you be filled with grief and remove your congregation the one who did this?" Shouldn't the congregation remove who committed this? Pretty much is remove that dude out of the church if he refuses to repent. Mm-hmm. And so if we, our Christian nation, while we're not removing people, or while we're allowing people to be leaders, right, governor officials, while we're not removing people that fall into open sin, right? Why don't we do those things, right? And it might seem like, oh man, this dude's being extreme, but this is biblical. Yeah, I am not being extreme at all. We see this even in the Old Testament, right? This is what we first see it when you read through the Old Testament. God destroying whole nations because of sin. God telling Joshua, hey, make sure that there's no sin in your camp. Now, he wasn't blessing them. He wasn't allowing anything to go forward because there was sin in the camp. Yeah. That dude that was stealing, I can't remember his name right now, but God opened up the ground, killed him and his whole family. This dude stole a whole bunch of gold, trying to hide it under the tent. And what happened? God killed him. Sodom and Gomorrah. You know what I'm saying? Very sinful nation. God destroyed them. Yeah. And so, I mean, I want you to give me some feedback. Am I tripping? Like, am I tripping? You could let me know if I'm tripping. Am I being like crazy when I say this? But this is how I was thinking. Like when I started to deep dive into this, I was like, I don't see it like no other way. We can't say like we're a Christian nation, but we don't stand on no Bible.
Right. There isn't no evidence of it. And that was, I think we're making the same point. That in order to I guess to carry this title as a Christian nation, it has to be evident in the way things are carried out and obviously governed. And the same applies to us as Christians, and it just doesn't add up. And I guess to go a little deeper, the original intent I kind of derived from, I know you mentioned some of the Old Testament, and like we the people did kind of branch off of ideas as the Bible tells us that God spoke to Moses, and Moses was able to give the word, right? Samuel was used in the Old Testament to speak the word of God over the people so that they can go on and live out what God was saying. So it's the same idea for us, that if America was a Christian nation, they would go back to the Bible, and we would see it evident in the way our laws and the way that the nation and cities, obviously across the board, the states carry out their due diligence in how we govern, and law-abiding citizens will carry out their lives, and what standards would be used in our lives. And it just doesn't add up. You might get hints of it, right? I guess like love thy neighbor type of stuff. Like you might get hints of people with the right morals or right principles in their lives, or Christians in the sense, or maybe a Christian politician of some sort, right, that is holding to specific things. But having an overall governing or holding a standard of Christianity according to the Bible is just not evident. And you know what? The original intent for it was that the Constitution was supposed to be written because they were having a hard time on collectively agreeing on a few different, I guess, agendas that people were looking for. And it was like they wanted the pursuit of liberty and happiness and all these things. So that's how they branched all together, to kind of branch their ideas, like brainstorm, and how can they come up with something that is going to provide a nation closest to finding these three, these few different values that people were looking for, as far as a body, as far as a nation, right? How can we seek these things, and how can we find them as close to it? And the best way they found was that they had to go back to biblical principles and how that kind of rolled out, and how they saw the evidence of how the Old Testament rolled out, how God would speak to men, and then men would carry out these laws according to what God said. And so that's how they came up with the original intent, right? The motive of the Constitution. But as we see, right, evil and the corruptness of self-interest, of just sin in itself, corrupting minds, they come up with three different branches of government, right? We're talking about federal, state, and Congress, right, to govern a nation. And each individual branch was created to avoid any which one to overtake the nation and be the governing body. It was almost like they were set up to hold each other accountable, so that no one would just overtake the other, and that the nation itself would feel safe in the sense that they can trust these three branches. But what ends up happening is that the nation and voices start to rise up, right? Just as we see now, right, with a lot of the socialism movement, right, where we see that when people gather together and they protest and they fight hard on something they're standing on, they believe on, but they have no absolute truth at times. Go ahead. You wanna say something?
No, I was agreeing with you. I was just acknowledging your point.
Yeah. So it kind of goes hand in hand. It's a lot of that. We see that play out now, and how it looks like in our life now is that so many things are being influenced by the majority, and it's almost like it's overtaking the original government bodies that were set up, right? And it's a complete chaos. Like I don't even think we can ever get to anything close to being a Christian nation, because we've almost given, and obviously we're guilty of it, right? At times, right? We're not perfect in ourselves, but we have a standard of what we're living by. It's the Bible. Whenever we make a mistake, we look at the Bible as our correction. We look at the Bible as our standard, our principles that we live off of. But in retrospect, I guess the ever evolving governing of the nation is almost giving into the new ideas. And how can we open the door of how can I put it?
Well, it pretty much is the people. We make the people happy, the majority.
Right.
We'll get votes.
Exactly. How can we please everybody's desire, right? Everybody's desire to a certain extent, and get what we want. And that way they feel like they get what they want. But in retrospect, nobody's getting anything what they want. It's like
it leads to more division.
It's like a psychology. This has to be like a psychology class.
Yeah. I wanted to go back real quick because you touched on the Constitution. And I think the Constitution, I mean, that's our founding, document, right? The Constitution that's what's governed. That's what our country is governed by, and things like that. And so I have a question, like, where in the Constitution do we see like the 10 Commandments?
Yeah.
Or the standard of it, or the biblical perspective of the 10 Commandments in the Constitution, or the biblical worldview being explained in the Constitution? We don't see it. When you read the Constitution, you can read all those articles, you can go through them. There is no mention of Jesus. There's no mention of Christian.
Yeah.
Right. It has some real like vague things. It mentions the word God, but you can say anything is a God almost. Like,
yeah. And that's the point. That's the point of what we're saying is that it gives it a general blanket statement in order to please everybody's, To
say that we're a Christian nation
is open.
But you don't tell people that they need to be Christian to come here. It's like, we're a Christian nation, but come on, Muslims.
Yeah.
Come with your Qurans.
It's funny you bring this up because it's like you get into a lot of conversations with people these days and they mention God. And it's like these days we got to be specific, especially.
Like, what God you talking about? You talking about Allah? You talking about, what they think Buddha is? Like who?
Even relatives. Oh, yeah, I believe in God. Like, I'll be specific these days. It's like, I know. Jesus died for us, man. Like,
and that's the
real deal.
Problem. And that's the problem with like the Constitution, right? I think what happened is that like we have the Constitution, and I believe that these people had obviously like some Catholic or some Christian. The dudes that started this country, they're from Britain.
Yeah.
What is Britain? Yeah. What's their dominant religion over in Britain?
It's Catholicism.
What do they teach? What do they read from supposedly? The Bible. So they had a form like, all right, well, this is our religion. We're going to carry it over to this new land. Yeah. And this is what we're going to lay down. But we're not going to make it about living for Jesus, because we're going to open this up. Remember, the pursuit of happiness and liberties. And that opened up a whole can of worms that we could talk about that another time. We're probably going to name that episode. Wisdom will be proven right by her children. We're just gonna have that verse be the title. That's a whole thing. But that's what like when you read the Constitution, bro, it doesn't give you any type of things. It brings up morals, right?
Yeah.
And so it says, oh man, you know, there's biblical morals in there, right? But also some of those morals can be applied to other religions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like not killing, not stealing. Muslims don't kill and steal. They're against that, even though, you know, we talked about that last episode.
Right, they preach peace,
stuff, right? But they preach peace. They preach, you know, be doing right by your brothers, and you know,
so you can almost like let's plug and play.
So when you throw God, the word God in there, it's like, well, the Muslims could just say the same thing for them.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh yeah, God means for me, Muslims.
Yeah, the Mormons can say the same thing. Mormons could be like, man, it's a Mormon country.
Yeah,
this is a Mormon-based country, right? So that is the problem. That is the problem, right? The Declaration of Independence, that doesn't have Christian, it doesn't have Jesus, it doesn't have Bible or religion in it. When you read the whole Declaration of Independence, it doesn't have those things in there. It has I think it has religion in there, the word religion, but it doesn't have Jesus. It doesn't declare his divinity. It doesn't say that, hey, we're governing this country by the Bible. It doesn't say any of those things in there.
Yeah.
And so I believe that, like, America, it had a Christian culture.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a Christian nation in how it lives these things out. I think it had a Christian culture because, like I said, the people who founded this country, they came from Britain. They broke off from them. They came here. They had religious ways, right? I mean, we believe this and this, and you know how it is. We still see it happening today where people go to church on a Sunday. They carry their Bibles. Hey, hallelujah. They speak the lingo, right? The Christianese, but they don't do anything else with that. Yeah. And that's what I believe happened in the founding of this country. Now, I love America. I won't ever want to live anywhere else in the world. America is here. America is not perfect. I'm not claiming that it's perfect. I'm not condemning it to hell. There's a lot of good things that happen here. A lot of people still coming here. Yeah. But I don't think no nation in this world is a Christian nation. Yeah. It's a fallen world ran by Satan himself. I don't see how any nation can say that they're a Christian nation. It's because there's fallen people in those nations. But getting back, to America, so I think like there was a lot of implications of Christianity that they obviously applied, but they didn't make it clear. They generalized it by throwing the word God in there, right? Mm-hmm. We see like in God we trust, right?
We see that in the bills, yeah.
And God we trust, and what's the other one that we use here in America? It's in God we trust. Oh, one nation under God.
One nation.
What God?
Yeah.
What God we under?
Yeah.
So again, all these things apply Christian implications, but it's not clear, right? It doesn't talk about Jesus. It doesn't reference him or his divinity. Mm-hmm. It's so you could just insert any other religion in there. At the end of the day, when you really read these documents and you break them down, you can plug in anything, because once you put the word God in there, it can be the God of this or the God of that, and then you just go. And so I think that they had good intentions with that, plugging in Christian morals, right? And some Christian laws, but other than that, that was literally all they did. There was no mention about Jesus and living for Jesus and what that looks like, and we're going to handle these type of situations according to how Jesus would have handled them or how the Bible tells us to handle them. There isn't any of those things, at all when you read any of these documents. And so, just on that basis, man, I can never say America is or ever was a Christian nation.
Yeah. And I agree. I think we agree on this one. But yeah, in a sense, that's obviously we're getting to a point. I have this saying, right? Or there's this phrase, right, that I use. It says where the more you run from God, the more you'll run into him.
Yeah, I heard that before.
Yeah. And I think America is and will find out soon enough, right? Just as we do with our life, right? The more we quote unquote run from God, right? Or run from some of the things that we fail to address and find an absolute truth and line up with biblical principles or standards that God has us or commands us to implement in our life. It's almost like we do a circle, and I think obviously we see the evil and the corrupt and the violence that is happening at a rapid pace in America. And for some reason it just made me think of that. It's like the more America fails to bow a knee, right, to a God obviously that died for our sins and came to earth, right, and gave his life, and is able to submit to that, the more we'll see that it's just going to be a rabid race to, of evil to the end.
Yeah.
Among other things, obviously, right? I'm just using it as a general thought, but
everybody has an agenda. Something that I've been saying for a long time.
Yeah.
Everybody has an agenda, and some agendas are good, some agendas are bad, some agendas are just misguided, need some direction. Mm-hmm. But everybody has an agenda.
Yeah.
And when I was just looking these things up, you can see like why everybody says America is a Christian nation, because the forefathers, some of them themselves would claim to be Christians. But when you look at a lot of the actions that took place, the genocide that happened, all the murder, the people going to church and literally walking past people that were hanging from trees, people that look like me hanging from trees, right? All these things happened, slavery, just all the wicked laws that took place. And these were people who were claiming like to be Christian. I think it all comes back to a political thing that they wanted. They knew that, hey, we have religious roots, we have religious backgrounds, we're gonna appeal to religious people. And that's what happened. That's why everybody's like now, like, you got the Republicans, majority of the people in America will say that they're Christian, or they are, they're Christian or whatever by what they say.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's why we still have people that like they appeal to the Christian. They appeal to believers because they're like, hey man, I'm a Christian. I remember that silly dude Donald Trump said that at a thing. He's like, look, I bought my Bible. I was like, what? And he's appealing to a certain group of people. Yeah. The majority of a lot of people are Christians in this world, at least by words. How much of it are they living out? I don't know, but I think that's what really comes down to, and we see the fruits of that throughout history, from the start of this country all the way up to now, and we see where it's going. When you put things like liberties and the pursuit of happiness, like, well, what is the pursuit of happiness? Well, my pursuit of happiness is me liking kids. I'm going to pursue that because that's what makes me happy. You see how when you don't fill that in and explain that clearly, what that can lead to, and then you get a group of people saying, this is what make us happy. Change this law right now. And they're like, well, we got to, because we want their vote. We want to stay in power. So we got to do this to appease the people.
Yeah.
And so I think it's been a slow build of people who are going to be easily conformed, right? I ain't gonna get into like Antichrist, last days stuff, but
yeah, that'll be another segment.
You see how it can easily happen, and how we allow Satan to come in here and just give them what they want. Give them what they want. So they want this to be legal. make it legal.
Yep.
Now we got a whole bunch of people walking around high as a kite. Can't focus on nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, you know, that's my take. I probably could share a couple more things, but I mean, it's not really too much to dive into with this question. It's a deep question, but it's a very simple question at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Is America a Christian nation? Absolutely not. There's some real Christians in this nation, but based on those documents that govern our nation, it's not a Christian nation. Nobody needs to be a Christian to come here. We allow any and everybody, no matter what you believe, no matter how you live in, to come into this country. And those people become government officials. And they push their agenda, right? So it's not like, well, you could come here, but if you want to run for any type of office, we have to know that you're a Christian. Nope. There's no religious test. That's even in the amendments. Like the freedom to worship how you want to worship, the freedom of religion, like that language is in there. It literally contradicts when the commandment that says, love your God. Have no other God before him. Well, the amendments say different. They contradict that. So it's a clear all around the board. I don't know how people can miss this. Listen, man, I don't have a college degree. But when you put these things in black and white right in front of me, you can easily see like people are just like, yeah, it's a Christian nation. We've been a Christian nation. Some of them will say, well, we're getting away from our Christian roots and this and that other. And it's like, yeah. I was like, I don't ever see us standing on any type of biblical Jesus in any of these documents.
Yeah.
The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, it says nothing about Jesus. It mentions the word God and even religion, but nothing about Jesus.
It's interesting because you think about America being, we have like Europe, second largest economy. Crime rates are far, not to go back to crime, but we think about America, right? Just kind of thinking about the freedoms we have here, right? As we transition to this next point. And we think about Europe having the second largest economy, but we have the percentage is wild. It's like, I don't know how much percentage, literally like over 80% higher crime rate than Europe. And it was like, so I would ask, right, is too much freedom good for a nation? You know, is the freedom that we call freedom, is it actually good for us, or is it working against us, right? As we transition to this next point. But I just wanted to throw that side question and allow you to transition to that next point.
I think access is what has destroyed everything.
Yeah.
Our access to information has birthed a generation of people who all they feel like if they got the information, that's all they need.
Yeah.
They got too much information. Like some people that we know, they got too much information. Now they're just all over the place with information.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know what information to accept because it's so much. They'll just cloud their brain with all this information. They're not even practicing any of the information that they're receiving. They're just reading books and reading books and reading books. Like, okay, I read that, I read that, I read that. Next thing you know, we got a whole new age movement happening right now because everything is like either all this information and then science and then spiritual and then it's so much. So to answer your question, access to access is a bad thing.
Yeah.
And as Christians, these freedoms, a lot of these freedoms that we fight for in America, we don't get to display any of those as Christians. Like freedom of speech, we don't have freedom of speech as Christians. Mm-hmm. I can't freely tell you how I feel, right? I have to only have wholesome, loving words come out of my mouth, right? I'm gonna be judged for every word that comes out of my mouth, right? I'm supposed to only speak life and what's edifying, what's building up, what's encouraging, right? I can't just be out here like, man, you beep, 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 and just going off on folks. Like, nah. Jesus says I can't speak like that.
Yeah.
So as a Christian, I'm already I'm enslaved, right? I am a bond servant of Christ. I can't just be out here doing all this other stuff. And then also, when we get into the guns, if they say, hey, yo, man, we coming to snatch up all them guns, it's a new law. It's Christians. Y'all gonna be like, we're fighting for our Second Amendment, like, which is cool if you want to, peacefully protest and stand up. But if they say, yo, this is the law, it's the law of the land, bro, run them guns, and nothing you could do then. Are you gonna like shoot the officials when they come to your door?
Yeah.
As a Christian, dude, you gotta hand over them guns because it's now illegal. We have to honor the laws of the land. And so a lot of things that Christians are gonna fight for, they're gonna, stand for, unless it's taking us out of churches, banning prayer and stuff like that. If it's not, any of those things, then they change the laws, then they change the laws. Yeah. Some laws, you ain't gotta participate in that. Like you don't have to drink, you don't have to smoke. Those things are legal. You can freely do those things, but you don't have to. Right? I think it also shows a level of maturity and growth. Like, where are you at? Are you just doing things because this government or this city says that it's okay to do? Or are you really standing on the word and living according to the word and not according to the laws of the land or the influence of the land?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's how I feel about it, man. Access money. Money is a big thing. In America, they tell us to get more money. Do what you gotta do to get that bag. But is chasing all that money, is that what's healthy for your family, your marriage? Mm-hmm. Like working 13, 14 hours. You're not seeing your kids. You're giving them the money, but you can't protect for them because you're not home. You know what I'm saying? You can't pour into them. You can't be the spiritual head if you're not present in the household. And so a lot of these ideas and philosophies that America has adopted, man, they've ruined a lot of things. And I mean, we see the fruits of it. All we gotta do is just really stop and just look at a lot of these lies, man. Look at a lot of the celebrities, bro, chasing all this money, but they never home. Athletes, movie stars, they're away for 6 months at a time filming movies. The wife and kids can't come on the set. It's sad. But when they come back, I got 10 million for this movie. I got 50 million for this movie. I'm gonna buy you all the Jordans you want.
Yeah.
But this kid is over here suffering and thinking about suicidal thoughts and depression, and you don't even know because you're not there, dude.
Yeah.
And so when is enough? Like, I got personal financial goals that I want, right? I want to be able to one day make $120,000 a year. That's my personal salary goal that I want for myself. And I got the license, right? I got a FOIA. I mean, not a FOIA card. Thinking about guns. I got a CDL. I can easily go right now, drive trucks, and I can make that. I could probably make more than $120,000 a year, but I'm not gonna see my family. Truckers are on the road for 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time, and then when they come back, they're only back for like 4 or 5 days, and then they go back on the road again. So, yeah, like I can easily do that. I can say, yo, you know what, babe, kids, I understand y'all need me here, but I love y'all, but I'm gonna go get this money. But when I come back though, we're gonna be straight financially. But who knows where my family would be if I decided to take time away like that and just do my own thing, just for some money. And so greed sets in. There's a lot of fruits, man, that build up from unbalanced ambitions and chasing after the American dream, man. I want the house, man. I want this big house, dude. I want the new car. All these commercials are being thrown at us. We just constantly seeing it. All this sex is being thrown at us. It's just every time you turn around, it's just sex this, sex that. And then you got a whole bunch of dudes that don't know how to deal with their dang on hormones. They just humping on everything. There's a whole bunch of kids now being born out of wedlock. And so
that's a good I guess that's a good point. And kind of ask you, right, as we go into that point, would you use that as how would you use that as an example to kind of describe biblical laws and freedoms versus U.S. laws and freedoms, like the laws and freedoms we have as the United States?
The first thing that pops into my mind is the Bible tells us to be content, right? To be content with what we have, right? If we're faithful with the small, God will bless us with the many, with more, right? Yeah. He gives the increase. Yeah. What does America tell us to do though? Hustle and get that money. By any means necessary. People got it in rap songs, man. I run the streets all day. I sleep when I die, type stuff. And then people adapt that mindset, like, you know what? He right. I'm gonna just drink these Red Bulls and I'm gonna be out here working 2 and 3 jobs. I'm gonna be on the block all day, never go to sleep. I gotta get this money. And it's just a whole lot of unhealthy practices, man. And I was guilty of it for a long time, already, like just trying to do a whole bunch of things, and you just start living very unwisely, and you burn yourself out, you get locked up because now you're chasing this money, you're selling drugs, doing whatever you got to do, now you're locked up, or you're so greedy with money, you robbing folks, whatever it is, it all produces what the world is going to produce. And we do things the way God tells us, and he talks about money a lot in Proverbs, right? Talks about getting rich quick schemes, like trying to have your inheritance early and what that looks like. And we see that with the story of the prodigal son, who wanted his inheritance. The father was like, all right, here you go, bye. And next he spent it, he buying prostitutes, he turning up to the max. And now he's sleeping with the pigs, bro, eating with the pigs.
Yep.
Because he wanted his inheritance early instead of waiting and being patient for it. And that's what America is. We want our inheritance right now. Even to the point where this generation, I call this generation the entitled generation. Because it's like, give it to me. And it's like, but you didn't do nothing to earn it. I don't care. I want it. Or you owe me. I've heard 16 to 17-year-old kids say that people owe them something. And I was like, owe you what? Nobody owe you anything. And where you hear that from? Like, and so that's what this country has produced, man. A lot of entitled, impatient, I got to get it right now, I got to get it all mindset.
Yeah. And I think part of it is the agenda behind, like, the corporate mindset, right? Believe it or not, for those of you listening, right, there's a corporate America, right, so to speak, a sub agenda within America, right? We're talking about the wealthy, right? The people that are in higher positions or rankings in the workforce, right? And they have meetings and agendas within themselves that trickle down and lay down the standards and what they're going to be asking of us, the employers, right? I say us when we speak of like the middle to lower class, right? I heard another stat about a day or so ago saying that within 5 years that we're already seeing the middle class almost being diminished out of the way. There's not even going to exist. But nevertheless, it says that, right, there's a corporate America, they have meetings and their agendas are only to push their agenda of production and whatever it is that has to be compromised at whatever cost. And sometimes, right, this pushing of the employees, right, I'm only bringing this topic up this point up because of what you just said, right? That pressure of having to produce, having to live a lifestyle that makes you think you're happy, right? That gives you some type of happiness and fulfillment, right? And then you think the more you work, the more you're gonna achieve that, or you're gonna get that sense, right? But sometimes, or a lot of times, right, as we've experienced for ourselves, it's like the more you work, it's almost like you're on the hamster wheel. It's like you're going nowhere fast, dude. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to the kids yesterday about a certain topic or scripture that talks about riches, and it was a simple thing. It was like, it's better to be honest than rich, and it was like, hey, that's pretty simple, right? Let's talk about that. But we're talking about, right, a value and a principle that we can hold to our life, right? It's better to be honest than rich and not be honest. And I had to drive that point home with the kids. It's true, because riches is not going to buy you an honest person. Riches can't buy you happiness, right? And a lot of these things, when we're talking about freedoms, as far as biblical freedoms versus freedoms that we have in the United States, too much freedom is bad. And the way we use them should be based off of, are we going to achieve the values and the standards that we hold to, right? Are we going to be able to uphold those things when we're using our freedoms, right? And the Bible says it perfectly, right? It says that we should use our freedom to serve and love one another, right? And it should use our freedom not to indulge in sinful desire, not to indulge in sinful acts, right? It says, but instead, let me see if I can pull that one up. I think that's Galatians, 5:13, right? Do not use your freedom as an opportunity to indulge in the flesh, but rather to love and serve one another, right? It's Galatians 5:13. So it's how we use our freedoms. And obviously we've seen, and we've come to a point in our nation, right, in the United States, where we see freedom promoted, like everything's free, even what, to your point, what you just mentioned, right? Access to access. I heard another stat about cybersecurity being at an all-time high. Like, it's one of the best jobs to have right now, and how America is the top nation being hacked at this point. So it's like all this freedom to access anything you want at your fingertips, everything you can think of. But also there's a downside to it where it gets infiltrated.
Dude, they're giving out government, not government checks, but Facebook just passed out a check. I wish I would have known about this. I didn't get one.
Yeah, I saw that.
That $400.
Yeah. We had a relative that got it. He was like flaunting it. And then he came to the barbecue like, man, I got my 400.
And then now Google's giving out one if they used your image wrongfully without your permission. Yeah, I don't know how much they're gonna give out, but they're giving out monies from 2015 up till last year or something like that. I don't know, but I'm like they're just all your information when you get on Facebook, dude, it's linked to everything. I did a test, an experiment rather, where I started just talking about pink suits. I never searched it. I never wrote the word pink suit. I just started talking about it. I was like, man, y'all need a pink suit. Bro, about 3 days, 2 or 3 days later, all I started seeing was suits.
Pink suits.
Suits and things that were pink.
Yeah.
All on my news feed is promoting certain things. I was like, I ain't even click on this. I didn't type this in. This stuff's just popping up. I'm like, they're always listening. They're always watching. Even though we're on a Zoom right now, right? I'm pretty sure they're probably listening in. They can see the cameras. They got the technology to hack whatever, if they really want to. That's why they keep giving out these settlements for being into people's things. Your bank account is linked to your Facebook. Now Facebook has access to your bank account. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
Actually, now that you bring up the Zoom, Zoom was I think the top two. They were hacking into Zoom accounts and then reselling the information or something like that. It was ridiculous. I'm like, Zoom, like out of all things, like not bank accounts, it was Zoom.
They want your information. It was, I don't know if it's still up there. It was on Netflix. It was they were talking about oh man, what's the name of this thing, bro? Oh man. It was The Social Dilemma or something like that.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's called. But it was on Netflix. It was a documentary, and they were talking about just the information that they put in front of you, so that they can keep you on Facebook. They can keep you entertained. They can keep you engaged. They put these videos in front of you because they figure out your search patterns and what you like and what you don't like. That's what those buttons are there for. The more you click on it, the algorithm, or however you say that word, it comes up with everything that you like, and they just keep that stuff in front of you. You know what I'm saying? So when we start watching sports videos, they're gonna run it back. They're gonna run the next one. The next one. And we're like, next thing you know, 2-3 hours went by. You and watched all these videos, and you're like, dang, I didn't even realize it. But that's how they get you in there, and then they get you hooked on that stuff, and you start clicking on stuff that you like, or this food, or that clothing line, that stuff, and even Christian stuff that you put in. Are you like Bibles? They keep Bibles in front of you, or they keep things that you want to buy, books and stuff like that. So they have ways of keeping us distracted, man, and keeping us engaged on our phones, and they just continue to go down the rabbit hole.
Right. So I think just to kind of hit a point home about this last point is that when we're talking about our freedoms in our nation, right? The freedoms that we have, freedom of speech, is not based off our own understanding. It shouldn't be based off our understanding. The Bible is clear that we should be lining up our freedoms to how the Bible would have us live out our lives and apply it. So I guess that's kind of how I would brief that one up. And obviously we went over Galatians 5:13, right? We can go into the Psalm. It talks about the freedom, right? To not base on, don't fall on your own understanding. I'm sorry, the Proverb 3:5, right? Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. We think about those things and how we should carry out our freedoms here as a nation, and the freedoms we have here in the U.S. is by lining up with the Bible and how we should carry our freedoms out the way the Bible say it should.
Yeah, I like Proverbs 14:12.
What you got?
There is a way that seems right to a man, but in the end, it leads to death. Because that is what we are seeing firsthand.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of time, when we make these countries and when we make these laws and we do all these things and we do it on our own understanding, like you said.
Yeah,
there's a way. This is the right way to go. We give the people what they want, man. Let's make weed legal. Let's continue to apply guns, even though people are using them to kill people. Let's continue to do all these things, and in the end, it just leads to more death, more destruction. Right? Let's continue to work. Like, there was one point in time in the history where, man, you would just work a regular 9 to 5 and you would go home. There was no second shift. There was no third shift. There was no overnight. And now you got companies 24 hours be running. McDonald's didn't used to be 24 hours. It would close at one point in time, but now 24 hours. So we keep feeding them this poison. We keep them working. They don't get no rest, which the Bible talks about. We need to rest, right? That's a biblical principle, to rest. And people just like, I'm gonna work all 7 days. And if we had 8 days, I work on that 8th day. I gotta get this money. And at the same time, we're killing ourselves, bro. Cancer, all these cancers, bro. They're gonna be a new cancer probably next year, is like walking cancer, because we don't walk too dang on much, because we don't know how to sit down.
The texting
like,
cancer.
The texting fingers gonna have freaking black marks on them from all the text messaging. And it's literally, God is like, I just want y'all to rest. I remember when I first read this in the Old Testament, and we'll start wrapping this up after this. It talked about that God only wanted them to harvest for 6 years. And then he, on the 70th, let the land rest. And it was, what's the word? Symbolic for how he wants us, right? The 7th day, rest, take a day off, rest, relax, right? And man, them people just like, man, we gotta store this. We gotta store all these things up. And they destroyed the land. The land couldn't properly produce because it didn't rest. And I think about us, we can't properly think, right? Mental illness is at an all-time high because we don't know how to rest. We don't know how to get off our phones. We don't know how to just be still and just meditate on God. We're always moving. We're always thinking about this. Well, your gas price is $6, man. What am I going to do? That's like a new bill now. So now, like, people are literally losing their mind over this because all they're thinking about is this, and this. And they're not realizing, like, yo, God says that he's going to give us peace that surpasses all understanding. Now, that's a straight up bold claim from the throne of heaven. I'm going to give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Like, what is peace that surpasses all understanding? That means that you're going to be able to be so calm and so content with the crazy storms around you that everybody's going to be like, I don't know how you do it. I seen it firsthand with my mom. Just having peace. I'm like, this is going on. Death is happening. Sicknesses is happening. Jobs is being lost. And she was at peace. At the end of the day, all I could do is lean on God, and he got me. It's just powerful. It's a powerful thing to see. Because like, I'm not even involved in any of the situations and I'm freaking out. Like, I'm freaking out for you. But we just have to just stop and relax, slow down. We got to learn how to slow down. If you guys take anything from this podcast, that all the stuff that we said, I want to just tell everybody to learn how to rest. Learn how to rest. Value your time. We all get the same 24 hours. The reason why it took me so long to edit the video, I could have stayed up all night and just did it. But then I'm taking time away from my family. I'm taking time away from my rest. That's right. Good. Our time is valuable. We don't get that back. It's more valuable than your money. It's more valuable than your money. You don't get time back. You can remake some money. Can't remake up no time. Once it's gone, it's gone. And so we have to learn how to rest. And really just meditate on what it means to really depend on God. Because all these systems, they're gonna fail us. They're eventually gonna crash. They're gonna collapse. People predicting that, the United States, our economy is gonna crash and we're gonna go into a depression or whatever it is. I'm chilling, bro. Whatever's gonna happen, God know. You know what I'm gonna do right now? I'm gonna be a good steward over the stuff that he's giving me, right? I'm gonna be a good steward over the stuff he's giving me. So my time, the money that I do make, I'm gonna manage it well, right? I'm going to plan for the future, right? And I'm gonna rest in him. I'm gonna rest in Christ. And then when government start acting crazy and they do whatever they do, all right, Jesus. I mean, you knew it was gonna happen.
That's awesome.
I'm chilling. And so, I mean, that's it, man. So
that's an awesome point, man. Awesome point.
Yeah. And so, man, we love y'all. Thank you guys for joining us, man. We appreciate everybody who's been rocking with us so far. Man, this is episode number 8, bro.
I'm on.
Season 1, episode 8, man. Wow, we doing a thing, bro. Official podcasters around here, man. So, hey, man, if you guys haven't already, please like, subscribe, share this video, share the podcast, man. You already know we're on like 8 different platforms. We're not on Apple yet. Probably next season. I'm not dealing with Apple right now. But we're on Spotify. So we're on Spotify. Listen to all the listeners that listen to podcasts instead of watch them. We're on Spotify, and then we're on YouTube, and we just appreciate all you guys who've been rocking with us and been listening to us. I got some designs coming along. Merch is gonna be coming soon. I don't know when. I'm not gonna give a date. I don't know, but it's gonna come. And when it comes, hope y'all like it and cop a shirt or sweater or something like that, whatever it is. But yeah, man, until the next time, it's been real. Thank you guys again. And
we love you guys.
God bless. Peace.